Thank you for being here today. My name is Anna, and today's class is one for your hamstrings. So the hamstrings are a group of 3 muscles. They run down the back of each leg, and so often you'll hear people complaining about how tight their hamstrings are. And so often the remedy is to just stretch and stretch and stretch and stretch and do all these forward folds. And the thing with the hamstrings is that they are very important and large movers and stabilizers. And so what goes along with that is that we want them to be really strong, and we want them to be mobile and adaptable as well, so that they can support us in all of the ways that we're moving throughout our lives. So we are going to get started on our backs. If you have a block, go ahead and grab it, and we'll come on down. So have your block nearby. We won't use it quite yet here. And we're going to start off here by setting up for a bridge. So feet are on the floor, and you can start to lengthen your tailbone forward toward your heels, and maybe place your hands on your thighs here. Take a big breath in through your nose, and through your nose, exhale it out. Let's do that one more time. Inhale. And exhale. Now with the tailbone still reaching forward toward the heels, go ahead and lift your hips up here. And you can reach back, place your hands on your glutes here, just make sure they are working. So when it comes at least to extension, which is what we're doing here in the hips of lifting the pelvis up in this way, we want the glutes and the hamstrings to work together on this one. And we'll work the hamstrings a little bit more here in a moment. But right now, just really noticing the work of your glutes. You can take your arms, reach them up toward the ceiling, and stretch out the wrist. So the left hand can come to the right fingers and pull them back. And then switching hands, right hand pulls the left fingers back. And then go ahead and let your arms come down. Make these hamstrings a little more fiery. Walk your feet forward a little bit. And then you can lift and spread your toes. So you can really play around with this one. You can always move the feet closer to you or further away, just depending on how this feels for you. And then this is going to be an isometric contraction. So without actually moving your feet, think about dragging your heels back toward your head. So it's like you're pulling the heels backward on the mat, and you should feel a lot here in the hamstrings. So keep breathing there. We won't be here too long. Take one more breath. Whew. And then we'll slowly start to walk the feet back. You had them in that bridge. And we'll lower slowly, one vertebra at a time. All right, that's a nice little wake up. Now you can keep your feet in here. And I want you to start to pay attention to kind of the area of your sitting bones. So you can even take, let's start with the right hand, take your fingers like right underneath your glute there, kind of to the top of the hamstring, and then take your fingers in slightly. So we're like really getting in here. And then see if you can squeeze the muscle underneath your fingers. And so we are looking right now at the hamstring attachment up at the ischial tuberosity or the sit bone. And then let's do that on the left side. So take the left fingers right underneath the glute, like to the top of the hamstring, and then you can kind of creep the fingers in a little bit and then squeeze that muscle underneath the fingers. And so if you've ever had an injury or a hamstring strain or tear up this high, then this is going to be what you're going to need to focus on maybe a little bit more, of just squeezing the sitting bone there and kind of hugging even the two sides together. So let's go ahead and take your block. You've got it here, and you can put it in between your knee joint. So we'll interlace the hands behind the head and then cup your skull by hugging your elbows in. Take an inhale breath. Exhale, lift up off the shoulder blades. Now look down at your belly, hug the sides of the ribs in, and then pull all of that down toward the floor. Now visualize that area of the sitting bones, and right where you had your fingers, squeeze the two sides together. And then inhale, lower back down. Nice. So let's add on to that. Exhale and lift up. Squeeze the sitting bones, and then reach the right leg straight forward. Keep hugging the sitting bones in there and drawing all of the muscles of the abdominals down and together. Right foot comes down, inhale, lower. Exhale, lift up. Abdominals pull together, squeezing the sitting bones. Left leg reaches forward. Keep hugging the block there. Left foot comes down, inhale, lower. Exhale, lift up. Right leg reaches, keep hugging the sitting bones. Now, just like we did in that bridge, think about dragging your left heel back there. So feel a little more work in that left hamstring. Right foot comes down, inhale, lower. Exhale, lift up. Left leg will reach. Hug the sitting bones together, and then think about dragging the right heel back. But it's not really going to move that much at all. Left foot comes down, inhale, lower. We're going to add on one more thing here. Exhale, lift up. Right leg reaches, hug the sitting bones, isometrically drag the left heel back, and then turn just about an inch to the right. Keep hugging the belly in. Come back through center, right foot down, inhale, lower. Exhale, lift up. Left leg will reach, hug the sitting bones together, right heel, think about dragging it back toward you. Turn 1 inch to the left. Keep hugging the side ribs together, pulling the abdominals toward the floor. Back through center, foot comes down. Inhale, lower. Let's do one more time. I'm feeling it too. Exhale, lift up. Right leg reaches. Got it. Hug the block. Squeeze the sitting bones. Turn 1 inch to the right. Come back through center. Inhale, lower. One more time here. Exhale, lift. Left leg reaches. Right heel pulls back. Turn 1 inch to the left. And back through center. Release. Take the block off to the side there. You can roll over to your side there. And we're going to come up into a tabletop position on your hands and knees. Okay, so let's get the shoulders over the wrist and the hips over the knees. We're lifting the throat and the face up. And now take your right leg, reach it back, the toes are still on the floor. And now you can take your fingers maybe back even into the sitting bone here, or just kind of imagine that place, squeeze it there. And now notice here that we're kind of pulling these two front pelvic points together in front so that we are not sagging into the low back. And we're going to keep the pelvis like it is, but lift the right leg up without changing the pelvis. We're not arching in the back. Already a lot of work. Now, I want you to imagine that you are going to drag your heel like through mud. And we're going to slowly pull the heel in toward your glutes. And then slowly begin to kick the heel back, like really, really slow. Create some tension there. Let's do that 2 more times. Slowly pull the heel in. You got it. Slowly, slowly kick it back. Don't need to do a lot of these. 1 more time. And last time, kick it back really, really slow. Ooh. And we'll set that knee down. Holy cow. So let's do the same thing on the left. I'm going to reach the left leg back. You can reach back and feel around in the sitting bone. If you need kind of that tactile feedback, always helpful. Squeeze that area. Feel this drawing together of the 2 pelvic points in front so that we're not arching the back, and then lift the left leg. Now, same thing here. Drag that heel in really, really slow. And then slowly, slowly kick it back, kick it back. Take your time with this one and really feel that contraction, feel that work along every step of the way. Okay, we got 1 more here. Nice. And as we kick it back that 3rd time, you can go ahead and set that knee back down. Maybe just kind of wiggle the hips a little bit side to side. So, coming back into your tabletop, let's lift up in between the shoulder blades, tuck your toes, and pike your hips up into downward facing dog. So now you can feel here like you were taking the hip creases and really sending them high. Right, so now we're getting a little bit of opening in the hamstrings, but it is supported. So you can bend the knees and really think like flexing or deepening the creases at the hip. Give your head a little shake, side to side, walk out the feet. That should feel really nice after all that work we just did. And then, as you're ready here, let's take the feet and just start to walk them as far forward as you can. And we'll rise all the way up to stand here. Okay, so let's take the fingers and place them in the hip creases. And we are going to be coming down into a forward fold, so you are always welcome to grab your blocks if you're using them. And I want you to think about pushing the hip creases back here so that the spine is staying long and that we are flexing at the hip. Let's do that a couple more times. And you'll notice, kind of depending on what type of yoga you're practicing, it's a lot different than like the whole swan dive, because that action over time is going to be pulling right at that high hamstring attachment point. So this might be really new to you, so just be patient with yourself. And then sit back into the hip creases here. Keep the spine long. And then we'll lower the hands down either to blocks or to the floor, keeping that length in the spine here. Step the right foot back. Lower the knee, come onto the top of the right foot. You can check in with your pelvis here. The tailbone is lengthening toward the floor, and we're drawing the front pelvic points together. Can bring the arms straight up overhead there. Notice that the right hip is directly over the right knee. And now same thing as before. Think about dragging your left heel isometrically back towards you. Right? So it's a contraction without actually moving. We'll bring both hands down to the floor and come into downward facing dog. Take your right leg, reach it up there, bend the right knee here. Now without changing or turning the pelvis, roll the right hip open into external rotation. Nice. Keep lifting up in the belly, straight, strong arms. And then still without changing the pelvis, can you lift the right leg up a little bit higher? And we're really gonna, hopefully, be feeling the right glute in this one. And then we'll bring the right leg back straight. You can kick it out behind you there, squeeze in that right sitting bone, and then step the right foot forward, keeping the hands flat on the floor or on the blocks. Lower the left knee here, and then I am actually going to grab my blocks for this one. You could also be up on your fingertips there. And we're gonna pull back for a little runner's lunge. So the left knee is bent, and I suggest the right knee be bent there as well. The right toes are pulling up toward your face. Now we're seeing if we can deepen that right hip crease and keep the length in the spine. And you could even do a little rocking side to side there. And then we'll step the right foot down to the floor, bring the left foot up next to it, and we'll rise all the way up to stand. Okay, let's take the arms, reach them forward and up, and then coming back into that hip flexion, you can have the fingers in the hip creases. Sit back, hands come down, floor or blocks, and we'll step the left foot back here. Lower the knee, come onto the top of the foot. Check in, the left hip is directly over the knee. Pelvis is neutral here, we're not tipping it forward or back. And the arms can come up if you like. So just imagine dragging that right heel back to feel some work in that right thigh. We'll bring the hands down, floor blocks, come back into downward facing dog, and let's bring the left leg up here, bend the knee without turning in the pelvis, just roll the left hip open, external rotation. And then see, can we maintain kind of the steadiness in the pelvis and lift that left leg up a little bit higher. Nice. You got it. Take one more breath. And then we'll kick the left leg out straight again, step the foot forward, and then lower that right knee for a moment if you want to grab a hold of your blocks. And then we'll pull back for that runner stretch. So the right knee is bent. The left knee can be bent there, and the left toes are pulling back toward the face. And just see if you can maintain that length in your spine as best you can. And we're really deepening that left hip crease. And then maybe just do a little rocking in and out of the left thigh. Awesome. Left foot will come down here, step the right foot up next to it, and then really sit back in the hip creases, and we'll come all the way down to the floor. So flat on your back, and we'll cross the right ankle over the left thigh, and you are welcome to stay here, or you could reach through that little triangle, grab a hold of the left leg. Maybe do a little rock side to side here. And if it would feel nice for you, maybe you take the left leg up. See if you can relax your neck and your shoulders. And just staying wherever it feels nice for you. There's not a prize if you take one version over another. we'll set the left foot down if it was up, and just switch sides here. The left ankle crosses over the right thigh. It might feel nice to stay there or reach through. Maybe take the option of reaching that right foot toward the ceiling. And then we'll set the right foot back down there. Let's take your feet wide on your mat. You can have your arms out in like a goalpost shape here. Just let your knees fall over to the right. Just think about pushing into the sole of the left foot. I'm feeling a little bit of work here in that left glute. And then bring them back through center, take them over to the left. You push into the sole of the right foot. Feel a little right glute and that opening across the front thigh. Let's do that one more time. As you're ready, settle down into Shavasana. If you want to have the feet on the floor and the knees bent or the legs straight, or even something, blocks, pillow, blanket behind your thighs, giving a little support. Just find what works for you. Just noticing the balance here between the effort, the focus, maybe the challenge of everything that we did today. And noticing how you can set that aside. Now allowing yourself the time and the space to soften and to rest. Let your next inhale breath be a little bit deeper. And your exhale a little bit slower. You can wiggle your fingers and your toes. And as you're ready, just rolling over to your side for a breath or two. And we'll all meet up in a comfortable seat. Just take a moment here. Feel the strength and the support and the power just at this area around the hamstrings. And just notice how when you feel that strength and that competency and that power in your body, how it begins to shift and transform just your experience in other areas of your life. And how you feel emotionally and mentally. So letting this practice just be that gateway into creating more understanding, more awareness, more attention. So that we can show up in bigger and bolder and more compassionate ways, both for ourselves and everyone around us. Thank you for practicing with me today. I hope you enjoyed this one. As always, please like this video, subscribe so you are not missing out on classes that I am posting, and as always, share with anyone who you think might benefit. So thank you again, and I'll see you back soon.